Hello and welcome again to Mudflood Mystery North. I'm Vincent, and I just want to say thanks for tuning in to the third part. This is a three-parter, not really intentionally. It may have worked out better in the end because each video is in a more digestible length. But yeah, for those of you who didn't catch the last two videos where I was talking about how my laptop using OBS for some reason just chokes the fan or something isn't working so good, so it overheats when I'm doing video work and shuts off. So that's why there's these abrupt endings at the end of the last two. However, I'm on a different computer in my music studio. I have a small music studio at about Broadview and Danforth, and so I'm on a studio mic. My voice may sound a little nicer, well, at least mic'd differently. I don't know how nice or not nice my voice actually sounds. But yeah, and I've also had a little bit of feedback about volumes with music and things like that. So I'm going to leave the music off again for this one, just to avoid any complications like that. Now, the tricky part is about this, using this at the studio, is I run a dual monitor. And so this is actually my third attempt at doing this video because I keep pulling up my images I'm showing you on the left monitor instead of the right, and then you don't see them. So anyways, now I'm going to get into this video in just a minute. Let you know what we're looking at right now is Union Station in downtown Toronto. This is sometime around 1910, I would imagine. But before I go into the video, I just want to take a quick moment to just thank some of my subscribers, especially those ones who have given me some comments and feedback in the last little while. So first off, I'd like to say thank you to Ben Beamer for tuning in and your kind words. I really appreciated that today. Gordon Welke, or Gordon Welk, I'm not sure the pronunciation, but another Toronto resident that reached out to me in the last little while, and I really appreciate knowing that I've got some fellow truthers in this city, and really kind words there. So thank you. Pippi on a String, the Jack of Realms, Wendy Henry, thank you for your feedback and your comments. I appreciate that. Jason Shepard, Michael D'Souza from Winnipeg, I really appreciate your encouraging words, and I just got to tell you guys how much it means, how much it helps me to be motivated to continue doing research. I'm a handyman. I got kids. I work during the day. This is my off hours, and I feel so compelled to do it, just like so many of you out there, and it's an awesome thing. And I'm gonna move down the list here, but I want to talk a little more on that. I want to say thank you to Watchist. I want to say thanks to JR for subscribing and commenting. And JR, it's spelled Jayare, which I thought that was kind of neat because it reminded me of JR from Dallas, only spelled JR. Outspoken Free Spirit, thank you for your comments. I believe it was on my Royal York, I keep saying that, my Fort York videos. And just some of my favorites that I've been following, some people I'm just subscribed to and really enjoying the work of. Baltimore Fats, please check him out. He's got a lot of compelling work going on. I'd like to say hello to Southern Ontario Sasquatch, and this is a woman, Leanne, who's doing some incredible work out in the forests in Southern Ontario. She's out there finding, she's in areas where there's no fires, there's no camping, there's hardly any evidence of any humans, and yet she is finding incredible structures that are made out of branches and parts of the forest that you will not believe, these structures. When she goes back out, she's seeing changes and differences and new ways of doing things. It's a very exciting channel. Her subs are up. That's a great community. If you're interested in Bigfoot or Sasquatch, that's an amazing channel. That's Southern Ontario Sasquatch. Go check that out, and you can get tapped right into all the mystery hunting that's going on there. C. Vasilis is a great guy who's working on his own area. He's doing some of the same kind of stuff as me. He's doing some walkabouts. He's checking out some really cool mudflood evidence. Plus, he's got some also interesting things he's found on the internet. So, yeah, he's a great guy to check out as well. So please do that. And just some of the big ones to follow. If you're really looking for the backstory, if you're really looking for a big chunk of material and research to digest, please look into these guys. Go see UAP. Go see Static in the Attic. check out John Levi, and you can check out Flat Earth British and that's Martin Leaked. All those guys are doing really groundbreaking work and have been doing groundbreaking work for a long time. Their subs are way up, and that means you can check out a vast community of people who are pitching in and offering ideas. So yeah, just promoting the community, promoting the research, and just coming back to what I was kind of going off on there. Don't let the naysayers, don't let the trolls and all these people out there they're going to try to, try to discourage us by saying disparaging things to us about the quality of the video, or, oh, you keep saying, or, people will just say things to deflate you, you click on their channels. It's nobody. It's a troll. It's someone who's got no subscribers and no content. They're just there to bother you. They're there to stop this research. And I gotta say, I've watched so many videos that were not Netflix quality, and I got a hell of a lot out of them. So don't let that stop you. Just do it. And that's where I'm coming from. And I just think this is a new way of researching. This is a new style of understanding our world. And I like it. I think it's a real honest way, because with all this truths and non-truths out there, we're left to rely on our individual compasses for truth. And I believe you can feel it. You can sense the BS. So anyways, I'm just putting that out there, guys. Let's keep doing this. Let's keep being a community, and just keep bringing the info around. Let's not worry about who's showing what and who's found out this. Let's just get it out there. I mean, definitely give the credit if you can. But I mean, the ideas are coming fast and quick, and who knows where one gets it from the next. Let's not. I would like to see a community that didn't worry so much about where the information came from, but that, hey, we have this information. Share it, share it, share it. Okay, that's my preamble, guys, and I'm going to try to move on here with what I want to show you. So we left off the last video. It cut me right off when I was saying that it was very advantageous for them to have these cities. A little sip here, my coffee. On the Great Lakes. However, one thing that I found strange was that I was showing you a map, the same map that's going to be that you'll see on the thumbnail for this video, but I don't actually have it in my set of tabs for this video. But it was a map from 1600s that showed no Great Lakes. Yeah, it's a bit strange. It had the St. Lawrence, and now the shape of it was a little bit different than what we see now. The cartography was a little bit different. But, I mean, is it possible for an earthquake or some other disaster to create this kind of, like, let's pull out in case you didn't catch it. Like, look at the size of the Great Lakes, guys. And so we had a map there on the last video if you want to go check it out. There was no Great Lakes. But now we have these massive Great Lakes. And could it happen that an earthquake or something could create? Well, let's just see. Right here, we have this place called Reelfoot Lake, and we'll read about the history of that. According to the United States Geological Survey, Reelfoot Lake was formed in northwestern Tennessee when the region subsided during the 1811-1812 New Madrid earthquakes, which are centered around New Madrid. The earthquakes resulted in several major changes in the landforms over a widespread area, with shocks being felt as far away as Quebec. A land survey begun by Henry Rutherford in 1785 identified the existent waterway as the Reelfoot River. The now extinct river flowed into the Mississippi River prior to the earthquakes of 1811 and 1812. Jedediah Morse in 1797 described the river as 30 yards wide, 7 miles from the mouth. Eliza Byron, an eyewitness to the earthquakes, wrote in 1816 from Missouri Territory that an enormous lake had grown on the other side of the Mississippi River. Lately, it has been discovered that a lake was formed on the opposite side of the Mississippi River in the Indian Country, upwards of 100 miles in length. 100 miles. And from 1 to 6 miles in width. The depth from 10 to 50 feet. It has communication with the river at both ends, and it is conjectured that it will not be many years before the principal part, if not the whole of the Mississippi, will pass that way. And, of course, Samuel Cole Williams jumps up to argue that it was a fantastic exaggeration, typical of the time of excitement. On early maps, the new lake sometimes took the names of Line Lake or Wood Lake. So, anyways, okay, so you got this pretty large lake that showed up, 100 miles long because of an earthquake. Now, they're saying most of it's pretty swampy, but that's not the only lake. There's Quake Lake, and this happened more recently. Quake Lake is a lake in southwestern Montana in the United States. It was created after an earthquake struck on August 17th, 1959, killing 28 people. Today, Quake Lake is 190 feet deep and 6 miles long. It follows the lake and offers the US 287 follows the lake and offers a glimpse of the effects of the earthquake and landslide. And a visitor center is just off the road. The lake is mostly within the Gallatin National Forest. So, yeah, incredible, right? Very, very large and deep lake that was created by an earthquake. But again, it's not, it would have to be quite a catastrophe to go from no Great Lakes to like that body of water. Here's Ontario, which is massive. It's the size of 2 or 3 states, these lakes, if you put them all together. The earthquake theory, yes. We've seen here, I'll show you, let's take a quick look at what it looks like when the earth starts to move, when you've got earthquakes. Okay, watch this. You see this, guys? You see what's happening here? Watch this. I know it's a little bit shaky, but what am I seeing here? You know what? I'm going to exit full screen. I think the resolution will be a bit better this way. Yeah. Let's see here, guys. Wow. You see that ground moving? Oh, you're in hot water, bud. Maybe it's time to stop filming. Wow. Look at the ground moving. Right? So this is a bit violent here. Right? This is the kind of mudslide that's going to destroy buildings, right? But then we have more subtle things that happen with earthquakes, like this one here. This is soil liquefaction in Japan. You can take a look here. They're going to show it a little closer now. People are a bit nervous, obviously. It's a scary thing. But just watch this line here, guys. Pardon me, lady. Sorry, trying to take a video here. I didn't take this video. Did you see that? Did you see that? Right? It's like just the tile. Or look at that. And then it rocks back and forth, right? So we have some land displacement of large amounts. I'm sure they're feeling rumblings and stuff. Now, then we also get this interesting stuff where water starts coming out of the ground, right? And in some of this footage, the water seems to come out and then it almost looks like it gets sucked back in again, almost like a sigh or a breath in and a breath out. Let's see if we can find some more spots of okay. So here. Wow. Right? Could you imagine? Now maybe I'm seeing things. Maybe it was just the water flowing away. But here's water that's been underground finding its way up to the surface, right? So, for example, when we're talking about mudfloods and we're seeing if you can imagine liquefaction happening. So here we have this is like landslide type stuff. And this is look at this incredible thing. Okay. These are all interesting liquefaction things you'll see. Now, if liquefaction happened, where everything just kind of turned to mush, that you could kind of see things you could kind of imagine things sinking down the way they are. So I just wanted to show you just a couple of bits of footage about earthquakes. And yes, they are powerful and they can do things create lakes, whoa, what's going on here? I don't want to watch grass slapping on your camera there. I want to see some action here. Anyways, that's probably all I needed to show you as far as the earthquake is concerned. So let's just pause that. So there's that theory, right? There's that theory where, okay, so maybe we had no, we just had the St. Lawrence that came down, and then all of a sudden we had a cataclysm, and it created these Great Lakes. Here's my problem with that, guys. We have Chicago, we have Toronto, we have Detroit. Now, if we're going to contend that these are ancient cities, or at least older than the narrative, then they are strategically put onto these ports on the Great Lakes. So that doesn't, it kind of debunks our theory. It kind of debunks our idea of these lakes showing up after 1600, unless the previous civilization we're talking about what could have been in the 1700s or the 1600s, or maybe one of the resets could have happened right after that map was made. I don't know. However, there are those who may say that it's also likely that cartographers aren't necessarily the most trustworthy sources. That cartographers, like any other output of information, could be influenced to show or not show parts of the world. I mean, what we see as as Antarctica and stuff, like look at in this map here, they got these huge land masses here as Antarctica, and we don't really know. We don't really know that the maps that we see, we don't even know if that's the whole Earth. We don't really know. And there's been plenty of comment over the years about the inconsistency of maps. And this really great article that I was reading from Atlas Obscura. Why is Tim Hortons making me so gassy? I don't know. Pardon me. I mean burpy gassy. Anyways. The enduring mystery of the Fool's Cap map of the world. The full meaning of this 16th century illustration may never be understood. Look at this thing, guys. It's all in Latin. He does go into the meanings of some of it. So let's see what this article says. The symbol of the jester, or joker, or fool, has inspired thrones, playing cards, and comedic fart acts. But there's one particular image of the king's fool that has remained a true mystery among cartographers and historians. The engraving above, colloquially referred to as the Fool's Cap map of the world, the intricate bust of a court jester, complete with bells and bauble, includes a face showing the world as it had been charted in the 16th century. Despite researchers making close examinations of the map, they can only speculate why, when, and by whom this particular map was made, explains the map journalist Frank Jacobs on his blog about strange maps, which I will be checking out, as you should. The Fool's Cap map of the world is one of the biggest mysteries in the history of Western cartography, Jacob writes. This is what we do know about the map. Measuring about 14 inches by 19 inches and printed with a copper plate engraving, researchers estimate that the map dates between 1580 and 1590. That's because it matches the Ortelius oval map projections that had become common in the late 16th and 17th centuries. The Fool's Cap map of the world isn't the first time the world has been visually mocked by a jester. In 1575, the French mapmaker Jean de Fourmont created his own Fool's Cap map with a chart framed by the hood of a jester. While de Fourmont's map is slightly smaller and more oval in shape, the similarities are uncanny, writes Anne Chappell in Studies in English Literature. Academics believe that Fourmont's map most likely inspired the illustrator of the Fool's Cap map of the world. Okay, so here we have names. One of these could be the artist, is what they're saying here. Who created the map? It's still a mystery. One of the names on this cartouche, maybe the illustrators. The identity of the map maker is another unsolved mystery. In the left-hand corner, the name of Orontius Phineus is inscribed, which is Latinized for Oronce Finet, a French mathematician and cartographer, so a known name there. Some claim Finney to be the illustrator, but he died at the age of 50 in 1555, a lot of fives there, before the map had been estimated to be published. Jacobs suggests that his name appears because he could have been the map's subject of ridicule. In 1524, Finney was jailed for practicing judiciary astrology, in which people would reason, make predictions, and even base medical decisions off of star charts and arrangements. Finney's role in the map's creation remains subject of speculation. Many soldiers believe that the map was Epicthonius Cosmopolites, whose name is mentioned in the left-hand cartouche. It says in these parts here, Democritus laughed at it, Heraclitus wept over it, and Epicthonius Cosmopolitus or Litus portrayed it. And I said it like this to my wife: Demo laughed at it, Hera wept over it, and Epic Cosmo portrayed it. Anyways, make of it what you will. Still, very little concrete background information has been found. The Fool's Cap map of the world has created an array of deep and dark interpretations of the world. Traditionally, the Fool was one of the only people who could freely criticize the monarchy. Some academics have thus interpreted that the map was created as commentary on the inaccuracy of depictions and charts of the world in an age where much of it had yet to be thoroughly documented and discovered. Maps of this area were even known to be altered visually to support certain political ends. One way of reading the image would suggest that all seemingly universal truths, all apparently trustworthy knowledge, authoritative maps are partial and untrustworthy in that they conceal hidden social ordering, writes David Turnbull in the book Masons, Tricksters, and Cartographers, which, you can check that out here. We'll go right here for a sec. This is really neat, guys, because you can go right into it and you can read it, guys. Yeah, so you can go in and check this out if you're up for a read, which I'm not. I'm going to continue with this video. So there's a little bit more here, and I just wanted to, let's see. Missed it here. Okay. Yep. So this is vanity, all is vanity. Others see a more melancholy outlook on the world. The Latin phrase is inscribed in the jester's cap, staff, and shoulder belt, lament the vanity of the world and the foolishness of those who love it, writes Chappell. On the staff is the phrase vanity of vanities, all is vanity. And on one of the medallions on the shoulder belt, it says, "Oh, the worries of the world." The quote on the bottom of the map from Ecclesiastes sums up the message of the map: "The number of fools is infinite." The world is quite literally a foolish place, writes Jacobs. The uncomfortable truth told by this map is that the world is a somber, irrational, and dangerous place, and that life on it is nasty, brutish, and short. Okay, so there you have it. There you have somebody saying that maps aren't all that it's made up to be, right? Okay, so we have that to think about now as well, right, guys? So maybe the Great Lakes were here all the time, and maybe because of these cities, the cartographers steered clear and did not draw any attention to the secrets or these developed cities that we have here at the time. Maybe you just didn't go there, or maybe they didn't want anyone to know about that. So again, this is Mudflood Mystery North. Like I've said before, there's not a ton of answers here. There's speculation and curiosity by the truckload. But concrete answers in this world, guys, we do our very best. But even the facts are being that we've been taught are going right out the window. So we've got to rely on that truth compass as best as we can, and and find the proof in the pudding. And that's what we're all up to here. So let me just check my notes here and see where I want to move on to next. Okay, so we have these cities now, and some of these older cities, Chicago, Toronto. I consider Toronto an older city. It doesn't actually have the oldest history. Washington, D.C. Now, one thing I noticed about these cities is the plans, the city plans. Now, this is a plan for Washington, D.C., um, and this is, what, 1792? I mean, come on, guys. Look at the tight grid we have here. And look at these interesting intersecting lines. And there's whole video series you can watch on the symbolism of all this stuff. But this is considered, there are some people who theorize this used to be a Tartarian city. I believe I may have covered it in one of my other videos. The name of it is escaping me now. But so there you have this crazy intricate grid that is Washington, D.C. Here's a picture of the city plan of Chicago that was proposed. I'm not exactly sure when this was. I'm pretty sure it was the turn of the century. Let's see if this comes up. If it'll tell us here. Taming the Savage City. Yeah, this was a pretty cool article. So this article is about a guy who went there in 1886, and he just found such a divide. Let's just read this real quick. Chicago, queen and gutter snipe of cities, cynosure and cesspool of the world. So the young British journalist G.W. Stevens exclaimed upon his visit in 1896. Stevens would make his name as a daring war correspondent covering exotic battlefields, but he never saw anything quite like the conflict he witnessed in Chicago. He confessed himself unable to express in words the splendid chaos of the place, where the keen air from lake and prairie is ever in the nostrils, and the stench of foul smoke is never out of the throat. Chicago was at once beautiful and squalid, public-spirited and profoundly corrupt. Its towering office buildings stood amid a vast wilderness of shabby houses. Okay, guys, again, its towering office buildings stood amid a vast wilderness of shabby houses. Definitely giving a nod to like, this is not a developed city. It's a city with giant buildings, and the development that is happening there is in shabby houses. I mean, a clear division between rich and poor, but also, for me, it illustrates an infrastructure that's just like, I don't know, it's just not really supportive of the theory that all those people in those shabby houses built these giant skyscrapers. Anyways, there is I'm just looking for the date of this plan. It looks like 1909. The Commercial Club, an elite private organization consisting exceptionally successful businessmen devoted to civic improvement, of course, published the Plan of Chicago, arguably the most influential document in America's city planning and history. Yes, the plan states that the inefficient, unsightly, unhealthy American cityscape can and must be redeemed. So they're saying, they were going to redo it. But anyways, there's the plan they came up with. Now, does anybody see this? Does that look like the triangle with the eye? Does this whole thing kind of have a pyramid-type shape to it? I don't know. I'm just pointing that out. All right, and I keep moving down. So yeah, so this is just the plan of Chicago again. This is a whole write-up on it here, and of course this is also, let's see, is this commissioners? I'm trying to see this is New York. So we have an older, this is 1776 plan for New York. And then I believe, yeah. So now this is the plan in 1807 for New York. And look at this planning, guys. This is insane. Look at the grid. I don't even know, I can't even imagine that being the plan. Now, here's a really, really interesting thought that I just heard from John Levi, one of his more recent videos, where he talked about photographs and documentation that we see. Like we see photographs of these buildings being built, and so we think, okay, well, there's a photograph of it, so we know now that it was built in the time of photographs, so the dates are probably right. But what he was saying was, why wouldn't we imagine that a civilization that could build these incredible structures, why wouldn't we imagine that those civilizations could create cameras, take their own pictures? Maybe the photographs and the plans were found on the premise. Maybe they were found in the buildings, and that's why you have documentation to support the building of it. There's rarely a flag hanging from the building for these construction photos. I mean, I have other problems with the construction photos. Is that often they have white skies where they could have easily photoshopped because there's nothing in behind. So many times it's like the construction starts where the horizon is, so you just have sky where there's where there's construction going on. But this is another great theory that why forget about this. Just imagine they had the whole plan here, and they found the whole plan, and then they just put the commissioner's map on it there and threw a date on it, and that was that. So there's that as well. They can definitely hide. They can hide stuff that way. So that was a new thought for me. I hadn't thought of that. Okay, so these videos are really just to help give you a bit of a background for this new theory that is coming up about mudfloods and a previous civilization, and just some of the evidence and the speculations that we're having. Here's our picture of a Toronto plan. This is from 1908. Again, Toronto extremely well organized, an incredibly tight-knit grid plan here. And I just get to wondering, I mean, is this foresight really, like, did they really just make all this happen out of their mind and then start building on these streets in the 1800s, in the beginning of the 1900s? Like how we got pictures of muddy streets the time of this plan. And yet we have this infrastructure, these tight grids, just like what we have now. Like the streets haven't changed. I always say that when I'm driving in Toronto. I'm like, say to my kid, population has increased so much in 100 years. The roads have stayed the same. And that's why the road work is never ending, right? So anyways, again, city plans from turn of the century. Pretty incredible when you think about when you see pictures of the shabby town and these shacks and stuff, and then you have this kind of city planning, even Chicago again, like, what the heck. So, So, this brings me on to things that, some cities that we're now seeing on the planet, these reset cities, which are cities that have been built complete with shopping centers and condo buildings. There's no people in them. There's no souls living in these buildings and these cities that are ready to go. They're just, sorry, that was a bit loud. Ready to go, guys. They're just ready to have people live there. So one theory could be, in the case there's an atomic bomb and you blow up a city, all the people who leave that city could go to another city, and they have the city just waiting to be re-inhabited, relocation of the people. I don't know why people wouldn't just bomb that city, but the other creepy thought maybe is this is getting ready for reset, right? This is a new place that's getting ready for reset. Not extremely newish looking buildings. Some of them are okay, but this is in China. This is Ordos City in China. It's another really interesting city in China. You won't believe this one. Now, I have heard of Ordos, but I have to admit, just tonight I was watching Barnabas Nagy. You should check out my subscriptions and go see him. He's doing really well and has very interesting videos. He also brought up this place. It's Tamestown, China. This is a small town, uninhabited, that they have done up to look just like an English town. Yes, I'm serious. Look at this, wainscoting. And the wainscoting has got some of the symbols that I've come to know. It's got everything. It's even got, like, look at this. I mean, there's my parabolic curve wainscoting, guys. Anybody even following? Look, there's our clover shape, our four-leaf clover shape that shows up all the time. So, what else are we looking for, guys? We're looking for like a peacock tail archways. There we go, a porthole. A bricked up porthole, right? On a new build. No one's even living here, guys. Okay, so we got a couple people. Look at that. Actually, some people here. Oh, that's Shanghai. That's why. So yeah, I'm more interested in this one. The yeah. So anyways, this is incredible, guys. There's a church here. Now, what I want to know about this church, please show me a close up. Are we going to find columns? Are we going to find columns inside the wheel here? It looks like it, guys. I'm pretty sure that's what we're seeing. Okay, so, and there you go. We have resonators. So this is brand new. Nobody lives here. This has just been created to live in. And this gives you an idea. Look, mudflood style even. A couple steps up. It looks like a basement window. What are we seeing here, guys? So pretty interesting, right? Reset cities. They do exist. Now, so we got that going on now. So it stands to reason that it could happen again, right? And they could be preparing, and we may not have even known they were preparing these cities. And I say they, we don't know necessarily who the controllers are. So there could be, you know, the catastrophe of earthquakes. There could be some other kind of reset catastrophe, but there's also social catastrophes. And what I would call a social catastrophe would be a world war. World wars produce so much destruction, so much upheaval of society, so much death that you can't even keep a track of people. You know, when you're talking about like World War II, 100 million people dying, in some countries, obviously like Russia, having way worse of a time of it. Millions, whole classes of people are destroyed. So what you end up having is displacement of people, namely children. There is a whole list of orphan trains and orphan train initiatives where children are removed from one area to another. So, like in England, a lot of children were moved to other continents. They were sent to Canada. They were sent to the States. They were sent to Australia. Even here in the States and in Canada, we have orphans that have been moved from. Let's see if I go to all here. Orphans that are moved from one part of the country to another. Maybe I can just read a little bit about orphan train movement. The orphan train movement was a supervised welfare program that transported orphaned and homeless children from crowded eastern cities of the United States to foster homes located largely in rural areas of the Midwest. The orphan trains operated between 1854 and 1929, relocating about 200,000 orphaned and abandoned, abused, or homeless children. So very sad. I'm a dad. It's hard to even think about this stuff, but the point being is that if the parents are dying, the children, if there's orphans, there's dead parents. I hate to be so bleak about this, but the parents die, along with them, what they know, their history, who they are, and then you take the children and you move them out of the area and move them to another area. And then they are indoctrinated into whatever area, country, religion that they've been moved to, and their history is erased. So who they are and what they are and where they come from is erased. So that is one way that there can be a social reset where you can split up the families, send them to different places. The men die in the wars, the women are given away or moved away to service the rich of some of the winning class or the winning country or whatever it is, and so all these people are split up, like the Acadians, for example, the deportation of the Acadians, the deportation of the Acadians, which I covered in my last video, where we see a whole people, a whole culture of people removed from the place where they've developed and just scattered across Europe and North America, essentially robbing them of any culture. And they've spent the last 200 years reclaiming their culture, the Acadians, what little bits they can. So that's also something to consider, is that kind of a reset. And now what's happening to us here in this day and age, I believe, is give us something a little nicer to look at here, maybe, is not that guy, is the what I would call the information reset. So we've moved away from books, and now we are into this digital age where we are looking at information that can get changed with a push of a button. Look, guys, they even have the telephone boxes from the UK. Amazing. Doctor Who, right? And so now we have this history that is being changed. People are talking about the Mandela effect. People are talking about, you don't know who's saying what anymore, and things get changed, and you check something out a little later, and it's totally different than it was before. So we have this information reset that can happen. And that could have still been being done with books and the burning of books and things like that. We talked about in the first video, Tartaria, and just how their whole culture and language was completely erased. So again, there's many ways that we as a people can lose our history and lose who we are and where we came from and what we are, who built what is the history, and just for so long we've just taken it as the word is bond, that they're just gonna that we're just gonna keep learning from the generations past, and everything's on the up and up, and that's the world we live in, and nothing's out of the ordinary, right? There's no reason to lie, but there certainly is, and the controllers have many reasons to lie, so that's my take, and I just wanted to show you guys this little video here. I couldn't believe it. National Geographic. I am going to play the sound for this. I want you guys to hear this, but so anyways. National Geographic did this short video on YouTube here talking about flat Earth versus round Earth, and the dangers in this movement, in this way of thinking, the dangers of questioning the narrative, the dangers of questioning science and history. So they got this it boy of science, and I'm just gonna play this for you. He's a space guy. He studies space, but of course it's this guy they had to get, right. It's not the lab coat gray-haired guy with the glasses. It's this guy. So sorry, it's a bit loud. 1 second. What does he?
Did you ever think a few years ago that you'd be having this discussion for National Geographic?
It's frankly shocking.
He's mad, right?
2,000 years, based on observations you can make with your own eyes, that the world is round.
But they have all the evidence right in front of them, and they still choose not to believe in it.
Who knows what motivates people from the inside to believe these things? But science is important. Science is valuable. Science saves lives. It makes our lives better and more comfortable. And it enriches us intellectually. And to question what scientists are saying and suggest that they're part of some massive international global conspiracy, it's really scary.
Are they a threat to the work that you do as a scientist?
If, say, governments stop funding science because of some kind of anti-science, anti-intellectual feedback they're getting from the populace, that's when it really starts getting dangerous.
You hear what he called it? Anti-intellectual. Yeah, we get all them smart people out of there. I'm tired of listening to smart people. Just give me dumb people. Anyways, I didn't mean to throw on a southern accent for that. I could have done it in a Canadian accent. Hey, we don't think the Earth is flat anymore, eh? We think it round anymore, eh? We think it's flat, not based on any intellectual reasons. Just we're just trying to railroad stuff, and and of course it comes down to the funding. By God, if the scientists don't get funded, no, we're not saying don't fund science. We're saying fund truth. Let's find true science. What we're talking about here is like history, geography, science. It's not adding up. It's the scientific minds of our age that are actually bringing this up. We are the scientific minds. We are the historians. We are the world. We are the children. And it just achieves me when I see stuff like this. and it's an insult to us as human beings that, you know, like, and the fact that we're obviously onto something because National Geographic is having something to say about it, and Kendall scientist there, he's mad. You can tell. I can tell he's pissed off because he's probably already looking at funding cuts for his NASA discoveries, because whether or not the Earth is flat or round, something is up. And I don't think it's. I'm not someone who gets on the Earth is round or flat debate too much. I got my own things to debate, but I just wanted to point that out, guys, because I found that, like, what the heck. So, anyways, just to recap, just to go back a little bit here, guys. I'll let you see the jester again for a few minutes while I recap on this. So. This will just about wrapping up this video here, but so we've learned about the Tartarians. We've learned that they lived in Tartary, which is in the northern part of this continent, and then we've found evidence of Tartarian cities more there in the northern hemisphere a little bit, but also down in the Midwest as well of North America. We found many, also the same type of architecture all through South America. We've talked a little bit about the things in architecture that you can see that are common denominators, what is usually referred to as the Romanesque style that everybody seems to want to do all over the world. Everybody needs to copy the Romanesque style. And what the mudflood movement is contending is that it's actually a Tartarian style. It's a global, it's a colonization of the Tartarian Empire globally. So that's sort of what we're contending, or at least trying to find more about. We're also finding that there are many cities around the Great Lakes that I find are mudflood candidate cities. Just things to look for, guys, in your own research. So in order to keep connecting the dots here, we're looking for similarities in architecture worldwide. We're looking for evidence of mudflood, which is the ground coming up and basically swallowing up the bottom part of the building. We're looking for timeline inconsistencies in history, things that don't seem to add up, like many things that John Levi reports on are like the 20 years it takes for one area to go from like basically a field to like humongous, incredibly Victorian or Romanesque or Tartarian style buildings, which seems crazy. We're looking for symbolism that keeps showing up, all the resonator shapes, guys, the crosses, the clovers, the parabolic curves that I keep pointing out, the columns, all the stuff that it just keeps showing up in the symbolism and the meanings of symbolisms. If we need to know more about the symbolisms. I want to know about the peacock fan shape that's showing up everywhere for me. And then also we're looking at earthquakes, landmass changes, global consistencies, global consistencies where we have similar things happening around the world at different times and also at the same times. I did actually have one other thing that I was going to bring up, and that was just 1812, the year of 1812. Let's see if I even, yeah. So that's earthquake 1812. So for example, guys, if you were to look up 1812, just look at some of the events. And there's something going on the planet in 1812, guys. So for example, we have wars, we have earthquakes. So the beginning, it's not so bad. Well, yes, it is. So we have the New Madrid earthquake. So that's in the States. So we have this huge earthquake that happens here. Then Napoleon brings in the metric system, so kind of a whole new way of doing things. And then we have an Argentine war. This is all in the same year, guys. Then we have Treaty of Paris, so that was probably following. Yep, it's an alliance directed against Russia, so they're preparing to stand up to Russia. Then we have the Peninsular War. We have, what else? Then we have the Caracas earthquake. This is in March now, or earthquakes. There's probably more than one at the time. I was just going through this. There's so many. So, you know, you find this. So we have a mining disaster, 100 people dead. War of 1812, of course, in the U.S. Declares war on the United Kingdom. And then we have Louisiana. Okay, that's not so bad. Let's see. There's also the Canadian War of 1812 with America. We have the Russians' Patriotic War. We have we already did that. That war was still happening. Battle of Fort Dearborn. I mean, it was just going on, and there was 2 more earthquakes in this year as well. Napoleon was going nuts. He was attacking Russia. I mean, there was so much happening in this one year. What a year for reset. Okay, what a year for things to get displaced so much that who's to say what the controllers might do. So this is sort of where my mind goes when I start dealing with this, start trying to process this stuff. Maybe it still sounds hokey to you. I hope not. I hope we're building the case, and I hope you're starting to see this picture that we're trying to bring into focus here. So yeah, I think I'm going to stop it there, guys. I know there's always more to say. I've got so much video footage and pictures to show you guys. I've come across so many things. We're going to get into some dark stuff because there is a very seedy underworld out there, and it is unfortunately in plain sight. So that is stuff that is coming up on this channel. Mudflood Mystery North, I've been really going through just the research of everything and trying to get my pictures down. But I am going to be focusing more on the why and the who and also the whens as they reveal themselves. So anyways, guys, getting on to a 50-minute video and no interruption, which is great. Pardon me as I burp on the microphone. But I just want to thank you guys for tuning in today and checking out yet another one of my videos. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, comment on others' videos, share their videos. My wife's going to show me how to mirror other people's videos, which is a way of posting other people's videos on your YouTube channel, which is a really great way to give to spread the word. But you can also just, when you like videos and have a channel, it'll come up on your like thing, so your like list. So please do all that, guys, and let's support each other. Let's watch each other's videos and take in the information, and let's expand our minds, because the information age is upon us, and all we got to do is start paying attention, and there's just a whole world of exciting new mysteries to uncover. So thanks a lot, and until the next video, have a great one and enjoy the spring weather that's coming our way. All right, guys, thanks a lot. This is Vincent saying good night.